Hello and welcome to The Print. This is Triya Gulati, and our guest today is joining us all the way from United States of America, USA bowler Shadley van Schalkwyk. Shadley, welcome to The Print and a very good morning. I'm sorry for interrupting your morning routine. Apologies for that.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me, Triya. I've been looking forward to it, and you're not interrupting the morning at all. I'm up early with my daughter, so it's no problem at all.
Okay. Shadley, I just want to start with we just had our second semi-final. We have our two finalists, New Zealand and India, will be battling it out for the title in Ahmedabad. Ever since you played your last game in T20 World Cup 2026, a lot has changed. Scored highest run getters have changed, scoreboards have changed. But if there is one thing that hasn't changed, is you being on top of the table when it comes to wickets, when it comes to taking wickets. How do you feel about that?
It's surreal, to be fair. I do honestly think I will be overtaken. That's the one thing. Just the way cricket goes. But I still get tagged in things in every morning saying that, oh, you're still wicket taker and you're still on top, and it's very surreal. It doesn't feel real. It's amazing, to be fair. I can't lie about it to still have that. But I know it should be overtaken if we're honest and now cricket goes. But for right now, I'm quite enjoying the moment. I can't lie.
Right. And 13, when it comes to taking 13 wickets, that is shared by like three other bowlers, one including from India, Varun Chakraborty. They all have 13 wickets. But the difference is in the number of matches. You have played only 4 matches, and you've given, I think, 101 runs, if my figures are not wrong, 101 runs and taken 13 wickets, as compared to other bowlers who took 6 to 8 matches to achieve that feat, and of course giving more runs. What are the conversations happening in the camp around your performance this season? Because in 2024, you did not have an ideal debut. You couldn't get much wickets. And this time you are leading the pack.
So, to be honest, the conversations around the camp is I've sort of been very similar with regards to my process. I know that I've played the game long enough to know that eventually around the corner, cricket will reward you. I think it's just nice that it was this time that it rewarded me. I've stuck to the process. I'll be honest, I haven't changed much about my training regime. I've always liked to work hard, train hard, try to be the first one to practice, try to be the last one to leave if it's possible. And I enjoy the process of it. I'm just fortunate enough that the game's rewarded me on this stage. I'm a firm believer that cricket is a humbling game and it keeps you level. Whether you're going through good patches or bad patches, it sometimes just rewards you at the right time when you feel you need it, or as a player you feel you need it. And not that I felt I needed it, but it was nice to get rewarded through the hard work and trusting the process. It just sort of shows that when you do work hard and you trust the process, that eventually something will happen in your favor.
What was your highest point of this tournament?
Wow, that's a good question. Cricket-wise was probably the 4 wickets against India and Pakistan. Outside of cricket would be being able to share this moment with my family. So that's probably the two different things. So I'd say the 4 wickets against India and Pakistan, and then sharing the moment with my family is probably the bigger than cricket itself.
Right. If I take you back to the match against India, heading into the match, what was your what kind of conversation you had with your bowling coach? What was the idea? Where to bowl, as like according to the pitch? And even the batters, who were you like? Were there any specific batters you wanted to target, or just tell me, what was your approach, in fact?
So to be honest, we prepared fairly long in advance for the World Cup with regards to, when I say a month, maybe 2 weeks before. So we were lucky enough to go to Sri Lanka and have a camp there. And at this level, we're fortunate enough to have many videos on batters, what they do, where they like to hit, what their scoring options, what they look to do to seamers. So I think preparation wise and chats to the bowling coach and the staff is we had our plans, we had the channels we want to bowl. We sort of there's video footage of where we can bowl the dot balls, where they get caught in the field, what positions should be key position, catching position. So all of that you study and you try execute in the nets and try execute in the middle. Although you might not be playing against that pattern specifically during that day, you just sort of try and go according to those plans. And if I say we prepared very hard for the top five, top six batters, top seven, you could say for India. We did a lot of research, a lot of homework. The homework was fairly simple for me. I'd say I like focusing on how batters get out, how their dot balls are bowled, where they get caught, and my best ball as a bowler for me. Because I mean, I don't bowl 140 kilometers, so I know that my game plan should be different to a guy that bowls 140, and my field settings will sometimes the angles will change. So using all of that, I think I just try to execute my game plan as much as I can. I'm someone that tries to bowl as many dot balls as I can, and if I'm lucky enough that there's wickets on the day, then I grab it and I run with it. But I'm also not someone that follows the wickets. So my best thing for me to help the team is try have the best economy that I can on the day. And some days it goes your way and some days it doesn't. Some days it goes at 10, 12, 15 and over, and some days you're lucky enough to pick up one or two wickets. So
Right.
preparation wise was quite a lot of prep. But now with so much technology and video footage around players, you get to see a lot of footage.
Right, right. You played both in India as well as in Sri Lanka. So, what was your experience like? How did the conditions, especially the pitches, like if you compare both the countries, how did they play in your favor?
So I think it's a weird one because Sri Lanka, I think, probably suited me specifically as an individual a little bit more than India with regards to just having prepared there for, I think it was just under a month. So if I look at it holistically, Sri Lanka probably suited me more. Training in India the wickets was a lot flatter. So we knew the scores would be upward of 200, 220, around that mark. We were sort of preparing for that throughout. And when I say we came to the first game against India in Wankhede, the practice before that, the wicket was really flat. So, I mean, if I'm honest, I probably, as a bowler, lost about 6 balls for the camp. They just hit me all over the park, the batters. So the preparation was, I knew I was coming to harder battle. And then during the India game, the wicket was a little bit slower than expected, which kind of suited us and me specifically. And when I say that the preparation during the nets was completely different, so I've got a few slow balls in the nets. I tried the cutters. The cutters didn't work. And then I went to the knuckleball, which worked. And so my plan was mostly bowling the knuckleball. And then
Yeah,
having the two bowlers before me that bowl said it's a little bit slower than what we practice on.
hmm,
The cutters might be better than other options. I've got perfect. I'll bowl my cutters in. And
yeah,
just planning specific for batter. We know Ishan Kishan likes to run at bowlers, so for me to take his feet out the way, bring the keeper up, so to just plan a little bit outside the box. I don't think a lot of the top order batters get that nowadays with the keeper up. So
yeah.
preparation that wise and with a slow wicket, that sort of just things landed in my favor with regards to preparation. But
Well, your knuckleball beat in India or in Sri Lanka both played in your favor, even though your team did not win both the matches. But I think you did give a tough time to both India and Pakistan batters, and you picked 4 wickets in both matches. It's unfortunate that overall the game did not go in your team's favor. Um, but after going back, what was the debriefing like? How did you reflect on your entire campaign? Because you won one match, I think your last match against Namibia, and as compared to your 2024 campaign, at that time you did win a match against Pakistan as well.
hmm,
So this time, what went wrong, and what was the debriefing like after the tournament?
I don't think a lot went wrong. I think we set ourselves up to win games very well. I think in the India game, if we're hypercritical about analyzing the game, we had India 77 for 6, I think it was. We should have
Yeah.
looked to attack more probably in hindsight, and that comes from the bowlers. I think we probably I don't think we got laxy daisy because we knew India's got a deep batting lineup. Um, we were a little bit unlucky, I think, with if Shubham takes the quarter and bowled, and then Sky got out for I think there's 10 or 12 runs, and then it's a completely different game. But at the same time, you could say Aksa would come in and get 50 of 20 balls. You would know. But I think having a team 77 for 6, I think we let off the pace a little bit. But also you have to give credit to Sky. He played one of the better knocks I've seen in T20 cricket in a very long time. So credit has to be given to a batter. Holistically against, I think Pakistan, we probably slow down in the middle. But if I go back to the India game, we were a little bit unlucky. I think if Andrish once goes for 4 and doesn't get caught at cover, Monarch's one for 2 or 4, it's a different game. But that's all in hindsight. It's difficult to reflect. I think we did everything we tried. I think if we look at the margin of wins against India and Pakistan was under 30 runs. So you think 2 good overs and you're a little bit closer and the game changes. But I think preparation was good. We executed plans. Can't say we were unlucky. I think we tried. I think Pakistan game we slowed down a little bit, which we maybe could have accelerated if we look back. But I think the guys can give themselves a lot of credit because we've been competing now for the last World Cup and this World Cup. I think the last World Cup India beat us in the last over on a difficult wicket, which was closer than I think a lot of people imagined. This year we had them 77 for 6, 160. If you any team in the world and say, oh, we bowled India out for 160, you fancy your chances of winning. So I think holistically we played really good cricket. We were just unable to cross the line and we needed to.
Shadley, I want to ask you, how has Coach Dhamika Prasad influenced your development as a cricketer? Like, was there any specific technical advice, mindset shift, or, a moment of mentorship that significantly shaped your game?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't technical too much. As a bowler, I'm 37 years old. I kind of know what my action's about, so I know what needs to tip me over to perform at a certain level. So coming back to Dhamika, I think it's at 37. Technically wise, I don't change too much. I think if I'm brutally honest, I think I'm a little bit old to change technically. I think if I did change something technically, I'd probably get injured. But with regards to just thinking about the game, I think Dhamika made it a lot more simple because as bowlers and cricketers, we overcomplicate what should be a simple game. So I think plans-wise, just backing yourself to execute, which is words you hear a lot and through a coach. But I think we were lucky to have him with regards to just do this. We know what the bats are going to do. Let's try a plan for this and just sort of training as well as we can to what we're going to get. One thing that really stood out for me is the fact that you mentioned that you only really concentrate for, believe it or not, a maximum of probably 180 seconds within a T20 game. So that means the 10 or 15 seconds that you take to get the ball and start your run up and bowl. And then once the ball's done and the field has got it, you switched off. I think that was a nice reminder to have. So you didn't get mentally exhausted within a high intensity game. So that's something that really stood out. Just keeping plans simple. I know a few of the times when there was strategic breaks and the odd game we had the short boundary and my plans would be sorted towards the longer boundary. I'll jog off and just go to the boundary and just say, look, the shorter boundary is there. What do you think? I'm thinking this. What do you think about the plan? And credit to him, say no, stay over the wicket, target toward the boundary, just make sure you execute the ball or target the long boundary. Don't go from this plan. So I think that gave me a lot of clarity within my role. And also understanding my role with regards to I wasn't probably going to bowl with a new ball, which was fine. Knowing what plans to bowl. If there is a wicket, how do we take a wicket going out the power play? If we can take a wicket, what's the best options? So clarity in my role was important. He also helped me with a lot of just thinking clearly, clearing my mind and enjoying bowling at that stage. because I mean you don't get to play at the
Shadley,
highest stages.
yeah. Shadley, you just mentioned that you are 37,
Hmm.
and that brings me to certain local media reports that I read that you lost your first contract at the age of 21, and some even said that you considered retiring at just 28. What was going through your mind during that period? And did self-doubt creep in? And from there to now, being the highest wicket taker for USA in T20 World Cup 2026. What has that journey been like?
Wow. So I'll be honest, I think the best lesson I've ever learned was at 21 when I lost my contract. I think when you sign your first professional contract, you think it'll be there forever. Like I've earned it. I'm there. I'm never gonna lose it. So you sort of you're young and ignorant and a little bit arrogant. I'll be honest at that age. Um, I signed a 2-year deal, but the second year deal was based on performance. If I perform well, I personally thought I had a decent enough season to hold on to a contract.
Mhm.
But I think you walk into a CEO's office, and at that time they had different plans and gone like, look, your career, not your career, but unfortunately we're not contracting you this year. And like a lot of things run through your mind. At that time, I just signed a new lease that I was renting. Um, I was fortunate enough to get a car that I was paying for at that stage, and if I'm honest, you have so much things like how am I going to pay for rent? What am I going to do? How am I going to go about it? I was fortunate enough to have a coach at that time, Rudy Stain, and
Mhm.
as soon as I walked out the meeting, he kind of I think he knew the news, but he believed in me as a player, which was quite nice. And he said, "Don't worry, we'll get you to a contract that you we can keep at Free State." So that was very nice of him and very nice of Free State at that time. But it was difficult. I'm not going to lie. I think it's something that not a lot of people go to at that stage. I was earning in rands. I think it was 3.5, 4,000 rand at the stage, if I'm not mistaken. My rent was 3,000. My car payment was, I think it was 400 rand. So I had about 600 rand. If you convert it to dollars, it's about $35 a month to live on
Mhm.
as a professional cricketer. And I haven't paid for my petrol yet. I haven't done anything else. But I was fortunate enough. My wife now we're dating back then, and she supported me when times were really, really difficult. I could lean on her, which was great. I also had a big family base that if I wanted to lean on, I could, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to because I needed to figure it out myself, I think. Um,
Mhm.
so so that's what I went through at 21. At 28, I considered retiring because I went through, or fast forward from 21 to 28, I sort of I earned my spot back, was lucky enough to get contracted, played decent enough cricket, and I had a contract for a few years after that. At 28, I considered retiring because it was a nightmare season with regards to injuries. I tore my calves 6 times. So I tore my right one, where soleus just under the calf, or my left one first, sorry, and then healed up, did my rehab. Everything was completely fine. I was fully fit to run and play. At a warm up game, as soon as I ran in, tore my right one. And then I was
Oh.
like, no, surely not. And then anyway, so like at that stage, it was okay, didn't bother about it too much. Did the rehab, did everything, managed to get through a couple of practices, a warm up game again, just to see if I'm ready to play, tore my left one. And I've gone, no, this can't seriously be happening. Um, Healed up again, managed to think I played one game after that, and then tore my right one. And then it just went back and forth. So tore my left one 3 times, tore my right one 3 times, and by the time I tore the sixth time, I just sat there and I remember one of my close teammates and close friends, Romano, to Blanche, and he's like, I just don't know what you do going through, Shadley, but you could see like after the game, I was basically in tears in the change room because I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I was passing all my fitness tests. I was running 19.8 on the yo-yo. I was doing everything I could. Like I was ticking every single box, and I just didn't comprehend and understand what was going on. So it was frustrating. It was heartbreaking, to be honest, because it's something you learn as a cricketer, that how can a game you love so much sometimes hate you? It's just the harsh reality of a cricketer and a professional cricketer, and you just can't understand. And at that stage, um, so that was the reason for considering retirement. It was a genuine reason. I think I probably carried on longer because I didn't know what I was going to do after cricket. I think I still 70% don't know what I'm going to do after cricket. So that was the reason for considering retirement. I think God has blessed me enough to help my body hold up very nicely. So I've been fortunate enough to get to that, change a few things in my running things and gear sponsors
And
that
during
helped
that
me.
time, you have even played for KKR in the Indian Premier League.
No, so we had a warm up game against KKR. So they came down and actually I'm not sure if it was 2028, but during the IPL we played against them a few times. Um, and I think one of the players got injured, and they sort of just asked me to play in a warm up game. So that was quite cool. That
Yeah.
was playing with the likes of a Brendan McCullum and Chris Gale was playing in. So
Yeah.
I was fairly starstruck, to be honest, fairly starstruck. So that was quite nice. Yes.
Shadley, you just mentioned in your previous answer how your wife was like your she was standing behind you like a rock. Apart from that, even if I just not just family, now that you have a beautiful family, how has even fatherhood and and family life influenced your perspective on success, failure, and resilience?
Oh, so fatherhood gives you clarity, if I can
Mm.
say that. It's a weird phenomenon, feeling, sensation that I've never felt before I've had a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, things become clearer. Cricket is important, but it's not all you live for. There's a bigger picture. There's someone that needs you to help them grow. There's dependency. It's a different pressure. Completely. There's unconditional love that you never thought existed, could ever
Mm-hmm.
exist in your life. So when I say that, clarity wise, just it frees you up from cricket. If I'm dead honest, it sort of just gives you going like, cricket's not actually all the end of this world. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. I love this game with all my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But none of this love will compare to what I feel for my wife and my daughter at all.
Yeah.
So it's completely different. There's a lot of clarity. There's a lot of freedom, if I can say that, because it just makes you, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, know that there's a bigger picture out there. Um, my daughter and my wife, it just makes it seem simpler, but at the same time more complicated because the external part of life now needs to be taken care more than the internal part of cricket, which has been my whole life, which is it's weird, it's difficult, it's different. But when I say it just gives you so much clarity with regards to it's actually not the end of the world. It's a chapter of your life, cricket, but this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the biggest chapter of my life, my family. So I love every single moment of it. The 2 o'clock morning wake ups, the little one jet lagged and waking me up at 1 a.m. when all I need is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, with that regard, it clarity, but a lot of joy and happiness.
Right. Shadley, in like we've spoken at length about your journey, I would also like you to, touch upon USA cricket as a whole.
Mhm.
You have seen it grow up close. You have faced the setbacks, the challenges firsthand. Where do you, first of all, what are your views? What are your thoughts on USA cricket? What potential do you see in the current squad? And also, what is the road ahead?
Sorry, what was the last one?
What is the road ahead for them?
Oh, it's exciting. That's the biggest thing I can say. There's a lot of excitement around cricket. So in the holistic, under the big umbrella of USA cricket, I don't think people know how much cricket there actually is in USA. And I say it because I coach also, and that's part of what I do in USA. So there's a lot of academies. There's a lot of growth. If you ask me 5.5 years ago, I'd have probably said, no, it's slowly increasing. There's a lot of kids, but the conversations I used to have with parents at that time is like, no, they probably have to go study. I don't think cricket's growing quick enough for them to be able to make a profession out of it. Where if that same conversation with parents now, I go, no, there's a career in this. Like I know, and a lot of our players we coach are Indian heritage, so they're very strict with regards to studies. You have to study, you have to get your master's. So trying to have the conversation sometimes is difficult with parents. So that's the difficult part. But kids want to play professional cricket now. With regards to the men's side, I only see people moving forward. I think if I am honest, we're all pushing towards being a full member nation. We want to qualify for the 2027 World Cup that's taking place. We want to put our names forward, not just as individuals, but also leaving a pathway with regards to younger guys coming through, because there is some very talented cricketers coming through. I think if you were to ask anyone, the growth of cricket in USA is unbelievable. And there's two ways I can sum it up. We in Seattle, for example, and a lot of places don't have enough cricket fields for the amount of people that want to play cricket. That's the one thing. The other part is in Houston. If you drive past Prairie View, it's a cricket complex with about 5 or 6 fields, and you drive past on a Sunday, the pitches are full. Everyone's playing.
Okay, so I have a quick rapid fire for you.
Love it.
But it's not really quick. You can take your time. That's all right.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Okay, so first things, Shadley, how would you sum up the 2026 T20 World Cup campaign for you in 1 or 2 words?
Surreal.
Okay. Your favorite 4-wicket haul against India or Pakistan?
India.
Pick one.
India.
Why?
I think coming into India, the form that they were on, scoring the 250, 260, chasing 300 down or chasing the target of getting 300. I think leading up to that, there was a lot of talk. So be able to take wickets against a team that was and is in great form. I think that stems very nicely for me, yes, and holds very close to me.
Okay. If you have to pick one bowler from this campaign apart from yourself, who would you pick? Your favorite? Somebody's bowling that truly impressed you during this campaign.
There's 2. Can I pick 2?
Yeah, sure.
So there's 2. I think Bumrah always stands out. I think what he did today in the game to close out the game for India was incredible. And then Usman Tariq, to be fair, I think he's very difficult to pick. He's got a unique action which is special to the game. And it's quite nice because it goes against the textbook, which creates more opportunities for people that don't have the conventional action, if I can say that.
Okay. If you talk about the batters, who would you pick? You can pick 2. That's all right. I'll give you some.
I'm going to go, believe it or not, Bennett from Zimbabwe. He's someone that's come along and no one spoke about him before, but his name's in a lot of headlines. So he was very impressive with what he's done in the World Cup campaign. And then I think Sanju Samson for what he's done in the last 2 games and leading up also with the amount of pressure he's been under. I think that takes a big character to stand up and score runs like that.
Right. Which of the associate nations' performance stood out for you?
Except ours?
Yeah, except yours.
Okay, I'd say Netherlands. I think they are an extremely strong side. So I'd definitely go for or look at the Netherlands, yes.
Right. We have 2 finalists, India and New Zealand. Who do you think is gonna take the title home?
Home conditions, I would say India, but if the top 3 of New Zealand batters click, I think it'll be New Zealand.
Okay. When you talk about India, you cannot not talk about food. So during your time here, were there any specific places you visited, any specific dishes you tried? What's the food memory like from India?
So I've always loved Indian food. I think back in South Africa when myself and my wife used to go on date nights, we used to go to a restaurant called the Raj. It was unbelievable. But what stood out for me was probably the puri. That was one. I enjoy biryani. I enjoy the lamb and the mutton curries. So I would always eat that, but not on a game day, just because I feel the food's a little bit heavier. I'm someone that tries everything. So the thing that probably stood out for me the most was every breakfast I'd have a masala dosa. So not a lot of people would see that, but that's something I really love because I don't get it. You can get in USA, but it's just not the same. So I'd say let's call it the masala dosa stood out for me the best every breakfast.
All right. And one last question to wrap this rapid fire. Who is your biggest inspiration in cricket and in life?
Cricket would be Brian Lara. I always say he was kind of at that era the overseas pro for West Indies, and he knew if he got runs or if he wanted to get runs, they'd win the game. So he's always been a cricketing hero of mine. Outside of cricket, I would probably say my dad. He's had a different path to what a lot of people would expect with regards to the time he grew up was during apartheid. The opportunities weren't there. What he had to call it hustle through to be able to give me an opportunity to play cricket, along with my mom also. I think if I had to draw true inspiration from two people outside of cricket, it'd be them. I've got a few, to be fair, but the ones that stand out is just possibly my mom and my dad. Yes.
Okay. I think on that note, I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and I wish you all the best for your coming games.
Thank you, Triya. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.